Well, let's talk about it live, Darren. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Damn Music Show. I'm Michael Adden. This is Darren Dre. And we were about to start talking about what we're going to talk about, and so I thought we should probably talk about what we're talking about, right?
Well, I guess maybe we should talk about what we're going to talk about.
I think we should talk about it.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about, which you sent to me, one of my favorite guitarists of all time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are doing a Between the Music Sheets. Get it, Wing?
Yeah.
So this is music theory. We don't get too steep, but we try to keep it in that middle level for beginners and experts.
We want to keep it like, if you love music and don't really know a lot about it, hey, maybe this little tidbit will help it like be a little bit better. Like you just got into wine, you're like, you know what? I think I do like Malbecs more than Zinfandels. That's the stage we're at.
Give
we're
you
not trying to
talking points the next party that you're at.
That's right. Impress somebody with your Mark Knopfler
online
knowledge.
chat room. Are those still a thing? I don't know. Yeah, so we're actually going back in time quite a bit.
Oh, I blew it.
But everyone, there's no time expiration on good music. So
no. Can I have an amen?
Yes.
Amen. So I dropped the bomb too quickly, but we're going to be talking Dire Straits.
Right.
And Knopfler. And I love Mark Knopfler. I've always really loved his guitar playing.
Yes, specifically the song Sultan of Swing.
Specificality.
Which is the one that put them on the map.
Was it Sultans of Swing? It wasn't MTV? I want my MTV.
Sultan of Swing is what put them on the map. MTV is what took them to the masses, to a new generation.
Just pushed
it. It's funny
out,
because it's only about 5 or 6, maybe 4 or 5 years difference between those two songs. But that whole "I Want My MTV" is a kind of an anti-music video statement. Really.
For sure, which is funny.
And
the irony.
Mark, as we talked on this show before, Mark was sort of the and still is sort of the anti-rock star.
Sure,
he's the kind of musician
with his tennis headbands, and
that's what took him. That's what took him to ultra popularity and money. I think is that song. But what put him on the map is just a band being known as Sultan of Swing. That was their first hit. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think I like it. Well, why don't we just have a little bit of a listen to what we're gonna do, and then we'll kind of talk about it.
Yep.
Sure. Okay.
We will talk about it.
Shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime sound of the river, you stop and you hold everything.
Love it.
A band is blowing Dixie, double fall time. You feel alright when you hear the music ring. Inside, but you don't see
too many faces. All right, let's give it a quick pause and give it a quick talk. Some really basic, simple things that are going on here. One, it's so catchy. I love that strum underneath. We won't go into it too much, but it has that really just catchy, poppy style strum.
You're talking about the rhythm.
The rhythm guitar under it. I love the chord progression too. And then what Mark really did that I think captivated everybody was his ability to play very melodic, chord-based licks over everything. Yeah. And he sounds like, to me, his guitar sounds like a vocalist with a vocalist. So like he responds to his singing with a guitar that sounds very vocal driven. And that's what he does. Mark plays the notes of the chords under him very frequently and follows those chord shapes. It really draws us in. It makes for great composition. It's really great composition.
Yeah, well, the thing that's always stuck out to me on this song, even from back in the day when it came out, is that the guitar riff, in my opinion, is the melody. It almost sounds like the singer.
It does, always.
And the lyrics to this song are very short and choppy because it kind of stays out of the way.
He calls and answers, and I talk about this with a lot of musicians, but it creates a lot of tension. It creates a lot of tension resolution, where not only is his voice giving resolution, but his guitar is giving resolution too. This is an overall fairly complicated song too, like the chords and the structures and the change of it, and it's pretty fast. It's not fast, but it's quick. It's on the quicker side, which keeps us upbeat and fun. And
so everybody
positive.
understands in a call and answer, typically that is done instrumentally. There's not always the singing.
Especially today, there's very rarely, I don't can't think of very many artists
Until
that
people
are like,
call and answer it so if they don't know.
yeah, for sure. Or like if you're like Pink Floyd, the call is 4 minutes and the answer is 8. So like,
That's too complicated.
right? No. So that was the inside joke for all you Pink Floyd fans. But in this situation, I don't think today I can think of many artists that like are playing an instrument, singing, and doing these little one-offs back and forth, back and forth. I think that's one thing that's so great about this song and about Knopfler's style
But
and
call
Dire
and
Straits
answer
style.
is a style of developing a song
For sure.
that sounds like you're calling an answer.
For
like,
sure.
Hey, are you
On
okay?
purpose.
Well, yes, I am.
Oh yeah, that's exactly. That's
And
exactly.
but
Are
also
you
time
okay?
it's
Yes, I'm
instruments
okay.
like,
For sure.
That's the
You
call
get
and
a
answer.
shiver in the dog. It's raining pot for meantime.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's doing call and answer with the voice and instruments, which is pretty rare.
Like, and the whole song.
Right.
Like, he does it the whole song. It's every single thing, like, in between it. Well, why don't we give it a little bit
Yeah,
more of a
let's
listen?
do it.
Keep going.
Coming in out of the rain, they hear the jazz go down.
I'm going to pause it. That's one of those moments where Mark's brilliance, like, always hits me. When he says, coming in and out of the rain, you hear the jazz pour down.
Yeah.
And then he does a run that's a cascade from top to bottom and adds a couple jazz style notes, some flats in there.
Yeah.
And he runs it down like rain.
Well,
like he
isn't
moves
this-
it like rain. That's so, it's just so subtle and it's so simple, but it's so hard to do that
Yeah.
right and make it feel good. That's so hard. It feels cheesy or it feels stupid. And like, I've never had this song feel like that. And he does that stuff all the time. And like to hear the time bells ring, blah, and he'll do some notes that have like that are a little dissonant and a little clashy. Like when you hear a bell, it has like, you know, a lot of layers to it. We think of a bell as like one chime, but you hit a bell and it has a lot of frequencies that get shot out of that. So I love that about Mark. Mark constantly
Isn't
does
this
that.
song about them going and seeing a jazz band and some
It has to
rundown?
have been. I don't
Yeah.
even know actually.
No, I think Sultan of Swing is the actual name of
Nice.
the band that they went and
That's
saw.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. And they have the flamenco-esque style rhythm guitar underneath it. It's not like full flamenco. It's like if a bunch of white guys came together on electric guitar and played
right.
flamenco. But it feels like it, which I think is cool.
I
and
seem to
fun.
remember that from back in the day. This
Nice.
is a real story.
Coming
They
out
went
of the
and
rain
saw
to hear the
some-
jazz pour
the
down.
band that was awesome. There wasn't a lot of people there.
That
Guitar
sounds-
George, he knows all the fancy chords.
And he knows all the things.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, man. That makes so much more sense.
And we're here to learn.
Did you just put me between the sheets?
Look at the horns, they blowing that sound. Way on down south. Way on down south. London town.
I mean, like, there he has space.
Yeah.
He had the call and answer for a while, and he builds maybe one of the most well-known riffs of all time. Ba-da-ba, ba-ba-da-ba, boom-wap-da. It's just so clever. It's not hyper complicated. It's not difficult. It's melodic. It's beautiful. It sounds like if you had like a brass section, that'd be like.
Yeah.
That's what he did. He built like a brass section on his guitar.
It's riffs that come together to make a melody.
Agree.
That's what's unique about
Agree,
this
and he's
guitar playing.
really speaking to the mass listener.
Yeah.
He's not just trying to capture one. He's capturing all of us with something that like is just hooky. It's just constant hooks, and this is like a 4.5 minute song.
Yeah, there's no way this would. I find this amazing. There's no way this song could be played on the radio today.
No,
If it came out
I feel
today,
like
yeah.
it might get big though, just because it's so well done. I don't know. Okay, let's keep going.
Check out Guitar George.
He knows.
All the chords.
all the
Yeah,
chords.
just like a jazz musician.
Mighty strictly rhythm, he
Minors,
doesn't want to make
seven,
it
cry.
Ace and bass.
So like again, super fast.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to make it cry or sing, and then he shows you how to make it cry
Here's
and sing.
here's what
which
I've
is
always.
awesome.
You have to understand in the early '80s, that I don't listen to the song very much because what they don't tell you about the early '80s is the incessant playing of this song over and over and
nonstop.
over
That's
every
hilarious.
30
You're just
minutes.
like, please make it go away.
Yes, yes.
'Cause it's
And
so good.
Yeah, it's sort of like This is, you know how Vietnam song always has Fortunate Son in it?
Yeah,
Or Vietnam movie always has
Movies,
Fortunate Son.
yeah.
Early 80s, this song is all that played forever. But what
That's
strikes me
hilarious.
now is hearing this.
Actually, I
in
think
full
right when I was
and-
being
and first-
born, it was on the it was being played. No, I'm just kidding.
The clean tones
Oh yeah,
of the guitar.
always,
There's
always.
Usually,
Knopfler's,
now,
like, straight
I can't
in,
imagine.
man.
That makes his guitar playing better, doesn't it? Because
I
if
think
you
so.
rely on reverb or sustain or fuzz or distortion,
I mean, let's go to it because I love Gilmore. And
Yeah.
Gilmore's a user of all of the pedals, all
Right.
the delays, all the
If
things.
there's any pedals
Knopfler's
in any
clean,
of this-
so I think
Yeah.
you can go both ways. But I do think there's a difficulty level of when something's so clean that you have to you gotta play it right, and you gotta stop, and you can't let it sit too long. It's really beautiful.
there's no. He is the polar opposite of Tom Morello in Rage Against the Machine, right? You know what I mean?
They would sit down at a table and they'd both be as far away from each other as they could. They'd be like,
They're
they'd be
Crips
like-
and Bloods.
Yeah. Morello would be like, he'd be like, man, if you could just do something creative, and he'd be like, man, if you could just if you can clean it up a little bit.
Can you imagine? But I think when he plays the solo we're getting to,
Yeah.
he doesn't even kick on a pedal then. I think it's the same tone
Right-
the entire
right through, all the
which
way
makes
through.
it even more crazy that he plays a clean tone.
I think it's cool. I always love
the
this
whole
tone.
song.
Yeah, I always love it. Just not much happening. Maybe a little compression, little verb. That's it. A little
Yeah.
delay, slap back, but not much.
Right.
Pretty darn clean. Let's keep on, Mark.
If then an old guitar is all
He can afford.
when he gets up under the lights to play his thing. And Harry doesn't mind if he doesn't make the scene. He's got a daytime job. He's doing alright. He can play the honky tonk like anything. Saving it up Friday night with the Sultans, with the Sultans of Swing.
All right. Right before we get into that solo, they've egged it for 2 minutes and 45 seconds. That just wouldn't happen in today's world. You
Right.
can't. You got to get to it way sooner than that.
Right,
but
right, right.
I don't feel incomplete right now. I feel like I'm just ready for the solo.
Yeah.
And that's a style of songwriting that I do miss a bit, where it's like was no limitations on it. I wonder if that'll come back. Like, it's almost like Netflix now has almost killed movie theater movies. So
Yeah.
it's the opposite. Now movies are like 2-hour movie. I'm like, can you
Yeah,
really
right,
tell
right.
me enough? Can you really develop your characters enough? But music is going the other way. It's like, can you get it into 1 minute and 10 seconds? And you're
Yeah.
like, man, come on. So I'm curious what and if something could hopefully adjust that, because I don't mind short songs. I love them, but I also love not having so much confines. And this is a great example of that. I feel completely complete all the way up until the solo, and I'm still ready for it. Like, you could keep going, and now, give me a solo, keep going, give me another solo.
Yeah.
As long as I don't feel like I'm done with it, go as long as you want.
I think it was okay to create songs like this long back in the day, because in any given town there'd only be 1 or 2 rock or pop stations, and
Yeah.
now with
it's
Sirius
so
Satellite and
saturated.
Pandora and Spotify and everything
Yeah.
else, you have 75 different options on this, so you got to get to the next
Right.
song now to
Right.
this, and here
and
you
they've got
pretty much
30
lock it
different,
in.
400 different AR reps.
Lock
Get
it
my
in and
song,
rip
get my
off the
song on the radio.
knobs.
You've only got 1 hour. All right,
Yeah.
let's give it some solo, Mark. Show us how it's done. It's just so good. I won't go into it too much. It's just great. I just
Well,
love
give
it.
him a little tidbit about
Sure.
what
Yeah, I mean,
what
again,
he's
it's what I
playing or
said
what licks
before.
or what
He's
he's
so
doing.
chordal. He's so choral based, and he's so melodic inside of that. And that's what creates all of that tension and release throughout that solo, is that he's really running into the chord adjustments. So if there's a root third and fifth or a chord, just think of it like resolution. Mark is constantly like resolving whatever's happening underneath. So you have this whole beautiful foundation, and Mark's like leaving it. There you go. Leaving it, and I'll come back. That's the simple way to talk about how Mark plays, and I love that. He puts you out like on an edge, and then he like...
Well, it keeps you in the song because you want to... You're like, I gotta go to the next little part. I got the next little part.
It does, and he sounds like a singer, and it's so... I love how calculated Mark is. You know, it's so calculated, and like to me that shows care, and I like care, and like Mark cares. Like he spent a lot of time writing that solo and figuring out exactly the notes that he wanted to do, and I don't know. There's something about that.
Well, he's definitely he's always been a technical player, which is not an insult or a
like Jimi
comment
Hendrix.
about his creativity.
Jimi Hendrix, a little more wild, a little more loose, a little more off the cuff.
Right.
You know,
there
Mark
seems to
Knopfler
be there seems some guitarists they kind of look down on technical players, which makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, I think there's the I don't know about guitarists. I think technically like technical players.
Yeah.
But there's something about like the average the person that doesn't quite know a lot.
Yeah.
That like thinks like, oh man, this guy plays with so much more feel, and like I like both.
Right.
I like both. I think there's there's a feel aspect and a technical aspect. I have deep respect for both. They're both very difficult to just freeform it up there and like put and not just play the riffs but really try to improvise. That's
there's no right or wrong. It's like a football player. Some people that are super emotional and they're all rah, but also they get penalties and get offsides and or accidentally helmet to helmet. And there's some really just technical football players who are
ABC.
Yeah.
Do the move and do it well.
And we need all of it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I feel like we could keep going on this, but everyone probably knows what's happening here.
Hopefully you learned something.
Yeah, and if somebody wants like us or me to really go into any of his stuff, Mark Knopfler's stuff, I think I actually even have a tutorial of how to play his guitar solo.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I think I do. It's over on my thing. So
there's a new playlist on our channel now.
Yeah. Please just ask us, request, follow along, connect with the things. Ask us, tell us information I didn't know about Knopfler, who I saw 3 years ago. Rachel, my fiance, bought me tickets, and I was really, really excited and had a really great time. Yeah. So
let us know what you think.
Appreciate you guys. Follow along, smash that subscribe, tell us everything. I'm Michael Wagner. This is Darren Dreyowitz. We will catch you guys next time.
Yeah. Thank you.